Hello Kickstarters, this is John Slayball, lead developer of Day of Dragons, and we are bringing you an Acid Spitter Drake update. A lot of you have asked for to see some of the content that we've been putting out on our Patreon, and I wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek at the Acid Spitter Drake. We have a video coming out tomorrow that we will at everyone about, and so everybody will get to see that video, but I wanted to show you Kickstarters a little tidbit of what we've been working on with the Acid Spitter Drake. This is the Acid Spitter Drake proxy model, which is a rough block out of the model and what you saw in the last video that we put out on our YouTube channel. And the proxy model is used to design and develop the rig and skeleton, but it's not actually bound to that model. You can see it's pretty rough. It's definitely not the game ready version. This right here is the game ready version of the model. This is what's called the low poly. Basically, you take the high poly sculpt from ZBrush and you make a low poly game ready model for it, and the high poly sculpt is what you saw in the concept. We took the high poly sculpt, we made the high poly for this last year, and that's where we got the concept from. We textured it and made a concept and with the high polys, and so we've been working on making high poly sculpts of a lot of our dragons in our downtime until we got our animator, which we have now. We have our animator, and she is really good. You already know, we've already announced her name, Carly Yo, and she is a AAA quality animator. Has been working in the film and movie industry for many years, specializing in creature animations. And so she's been, her and our own Dana, aka Vitalia, have been working on rigs and skeletons and animations, but Jahal is our 3D artist, and he made the high poly sculpts, and this is the low poly that's taken from the high poly and refined and optimized for the Unreal Engine, and it only has like 26,000 triangles, so it's been very optimized. And not only do we use that high poly for the concepts, but we also use it to make the normal maps. And this is the low poly without the normal maps. And we're going to show you, this is the low poly with the normal maps. And big difference. If we were to take that high poly and put it in the engine, you would have hundreds of thousands of triangles, if not millions of triangles, and that would kill your performance, especially when you have a pack of these Acid Spitter Drakes all running together. But wow, look at what that normal map can do to the low poly. You see the low poly in the background, and you have this low poly here, same model, same exact model, but with the normal map applied. And it gives it that definition. It makes the dragon come alive. And then this is the Acid Spitter with the base texture and some of the roughness and metallic and some of the other things in the material. This is what it looks like with the normal map and the other texture maps. And this is not a final texture. This is just a base texture we're using for making sure all the UV coordinates and everything are proper and there's no seams. And but man, who would want to get bit by them teeth? Look at them teeth right there. And then over here we got, oh, what's that tail wagging? Yeah, there's a little bit of animations going on. This is the Acid Spitter with this is a test animation cycle. Basically, we took the control rig and skeleton and we bound it to the low poly, and then we go ahead and we test the range of motion. We did some basic weight painting on the model, and to make to test the range of motion. This is definitely not complete. This is just a test animation cycle for animations, but you can see we got a tail wagging here, and yeah, there's no tail spikes on here, or the eyes and the teeth are not in on this rig because we're just testing the animation cycles. But this low poly and those animation cycles, but you can see the the movement. The fins on the back are going to move. The frills on the face will move. We'll even have the nose, nostrils being able to close and open on the rig. The tail, will be able to move and wag back and forth. Even the tail spikes themselves will be able to fold up and down. And we're going to have just an amazing range of motion. The Drake itself is going to come alive, and this is just the very first animation cycle test loop that we are putting out, and definitely not final. We got a lot of weight painting to do yet on it, and polish, and but it's coming alive. And Day of Dragons is going to be an amazing dragon game. Beautiful dragons, beautiful landscapes, unique game mechanics, and we are so thankful for you and your support, and for backing our dream and our vision. And even though there's been a lot of criticism towards our game and how we've went about our development process, this game is going to be awesome, and we thank you for being a part of our vision, a part of our dream, and we look forward to seeing you in our update, seeing you in the Genesis update, where the Acid Spitter Drake, the Flame Stalker, the Inferno Ravager, and the Shadow Scale will all be playable, and we'll be saying goodbye to all the marketplace placeholder dragons and replacing them with our own custom-made dragons in Day of Dragons Genesis, scheduled and targeted for later this year, late summer, hopefully. And if you'd like to see more content like this, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/beawesomegames. We have a lot of content that we're putting out there. We have 3 tiers currently. We have Tier 1, the Drake tier, where you get access to the behind the scenes of the dragons and the development pipeline for Day of Dragons series that we've been putting out regularly. And the current patrons all love it. And you also get a Patreon role for our Discord and access to the Patreon voice and chat channels. At Tier 2, the Amphitheater tier, you get all the Tier 1 stuff, plus you get to download the Session 1 of the Day of Dragons mixed soundtrack, as well as 3-day early access to any content videos that we're going to put out to the public. You'll get them 3 days early at Tier 2. And then at Tier 3, you get all the Tier 1, Tier 2 stuff, plus at Tier 3 you'll also get the access to the Lore Writers blog, which is a monthly blog put out about the lore of Day of Dragons in the world of Drakon. And you will also get a Red Dragon skin code that you can apply to your Steam account, which will give you access to the Patreon exclusive Red Dragon skin. And if you subscribe this month, in the month of May, you'll get a bonus skin to give away to a friend. And all that is available on our Patreon at patreon.com/beawesomegames. And your support is appreciated. And we hope you enjoyed this video, and we will be putting out a video tomorrow on YouTube for all to see. but we wanted to share a little update with our Kickstarters, and we appreciate your support. Thank you for believing in us and being a part of our dream to make the best dragon game ever.